Aloha. Today I wanted to see if I can throw together a quick video in reference to the the psychological splitting that happens, that is part of the spiritual splitting that happens, that leads up to the powerlessness that happens ultimately when we buy into systems that seem harmless but are ultimately very locked into our soul connections. And this started off from an observation of the codependency that's built into the system. But I was asking myself, like, what's the opposite of codependency? Or not necessarily opposite, but part of the codependency program is, and the opposite in a sense, is the super independent program that goes along with like the opposite version. So there's a dependency that's built in, that's inherent within the system of locking into who creates our versions of reality, the left brain and the right brain. What that even means, like what it's all based upon, what's the fabric of that reality, and what happens as a side effect to that. So the ultimate side effect when you're dealing with a program that creates your entire reality from your observation of your physical state to your psychological state to your cultural state to your family and your past, present, and future, there's a codependency that gets involved in there to where we give our powers away to people like where's it at? These people. They create your reality and they take away images like this, which is part of who we are. Like the pineal gland is taken out of our education system, just like the North Pole is taken out of our understandings of what this Earth plane, part of this Earth plane connection. So just as we have vortices on the planet, energy centers, vibrations, frequencies of like the pyramids of Egypt and Machu Picchu, Teotihuacan, just different energy centers that are locked into the grid of the natural Earth frequencies and vibrations. The North Pole being taken out of our understandings and connections is part of the same scenario that goes along with the pineal gland being taken out of our awareness that it's even part of our reality. When in Egypt it was very well documented and understood for who and what we are and where we are and how we are. So a bit of a backstory on this, and I just recently found this. This is the Orbis Terra Compendioso Descriptio. This comes from Mercator, which was one of the earliest the earliest and well-known map makers of our time, to where in a previous video I was speaking on the maps that we still use in everyday world, like all over the world, and even on the waters today. The main maps that are used are Mercator maps. So this is one of the earliest ones that Mercator used. Like all the GPS stuff, they all base all this stuff, and even how it's like they manipulate that, but the way it is, but it's based on early stuff. So this is kind of like the earliest version of what our Earth looked like from one of the earliest map makers. So you can see if this was like flipped into the flat Earth version, you can see how this links up with this as the outside. And this is not the only map that has this like this. This is supposed to be Antarctica. But my main reason for picking this one up is because I had this picture, which is the Arctic land version of Mercator's earliest maps. And there's also writings I put in a flat Earth playlist that I have, where it explains like the science between these rivers that go in here, and the stories of this land, and all the how this map was made, the stories that were written on this journey by all the people who were involved in this. But I wanted to bring this one back in here because this map comes from this map, where you can see this is the entire map, but you can see right here, this is this is that part of the Arctic land. Here's the other side of it. So if you can flip it on itself and link it in, it'll become like the flat Earth version map. And going back into the other books in the previous video, where I was talking about all the atlases and the Mandela effect and everything, and how they remove this consciousness from our reality, just like they remove this consciousness from our reality, and it creates a separation between ourselves. And I wanted to go into how that separation is inherent within our everyday lives, and kind of just break down in a quick video how the separation program, my observation of this program, goes. So first, the culture has to be broken down, which is obvious when you see how, starting with just the obviousness of the pre-Columbian era and the Columbian era, which is what we're in right now. Christopher Columbus coming over and calling all the indigenous people and all their culture, all their history, all that savagery, and installing pretty much the foundations for the technological evolution that we're in right now. This idea of evolution that is the transhumanism version, this fake monkey evolution program to create your limitation design, and then that gets sold in with the war, not being peaceful at all, not being connected with even the people on the other side of the earth plane. Your separation from nature, you got shoes, you got cars, you got destruction and voting for that destruction, living in the cities the way it is. Not saying that everybody should live in nature the way it is, but just saying that the inherent nature of that separation, that celebration of the mainstream, is a subconscious program that creates no less than the separation, just like the separation from yourself in the pineal gland. So the public education system, the fact that that's taken out of the public education system, the fact that this stuff is taken out of the public education system and this stuff gets installed in that education system, is another separation from your culture, your trueness. Television maintains the vibration and the frequency on the everyday, minute to minute, hour to hour rooting of that program. And it also, these are all intermingled within all of these, by the way, but I just kind of like put them out there as as the obvious ones. So television is also part of, just like technology is a part of separating the family. The main ones are like the slave labor. Some people that work at like banks and all kind of jobs that aren't even really needed, but you can just make money there, and then you need to work there because you need to make money to provide for your kids. So the fact that slave labor is out there, and the timing that we're away, along with the public education system, it separates us from our parents. It separates us from our siblings. Technology now is in everybody's hands. Even when you're sitting at the dinner table, you don't have a connection with your family. That list can go on and on. The institutionalization, the various layers of how we perceive what is right and what is wrong. This can go into like how religion, the religious separation that goes from just like a example of like families that you have some some families who grew up very religious in like the early 1900s or even the mid 1900s, and then you had some of the children who are our parents now, or I speak for myself, like my parents, who were just like running away from that. They got away from that because they didn't want to be a part of that program. So that's one version of separation there, with the institutionalization of religious programming, college, and it's like, you go to college, you need to do this to be successful, and that whole thing. Television is a program. The prison industrial complex, the drug complex, the whole hustle program, the hustle program that's within the inner cities, that has got a chokehold on even what we consider to be success, or what we consider to be this and that, like a deeper layer version of that. Like hustlers on the streets like create a success program and a dream program based upon crime, based upon limitation and not having anything. And that's just like a double layer of institutionalization, but it separates the family either way. Psychology, so it goes from the macro scale to the mid scale to the micro scale, which is your own psychology. And the codependency of this whole system itself is inherent. And then there's the codependency that is a side effect of how you cope with this program. And you can either be codependent within a relationship, within any one of these versions of your reality, like oh man, it gets so deep with where the codependency is. It's everywhere, but I really wanted to focus on how the difference between the codependency and the super independent. So the codependency is built in the system, but the codependency is also with how we go into filling our realities with prescription drug fillers, like looking for love or looking for relationships to cope with the reality. It's basically looking outside of ourselves, looking for something else to help us get through this system. And then there's a super independent, the side effect of having grown up with nothing for so long, or having being by yourself for so long, that you separate yourself from everybody, and on a deeper level separate yourself from yourself, and dive completely into a prescription drug reality as your codependency program, claiming to be independent, but it's really just another version of codependency. So the exterior, it seems independent and very successful, very out there and doing it, taking care of, living your dream and everything, but internally it's a different version of the codependency program as a whole. And ultimately, since we are so vested within this system, we are in an inherent state of hopelessness, because the program itself has destroyed our versions, our understanding of culture and connections to culture, family, and even our own psyches. So that hopelessness is inherent within this system, whether you're codependent or super independent, whether you're successful in a relationship and in your codependency program, or successful in a relationship with being independent. Either way, it's a hopeless state of being if we don't look into the depths of the spiritual warfare that is going on within our families and our surroundings. So here are some examples that I came up with of, or just put together, of the prescription drug reality, on how our dreams, some people don't dream anymore. It's very important to dream. And then that goes into like the cloning, and how the cloning program has to do a lot with dreams, and how I link this all in, I'm getting ahead of myself right now, but if we don't dream, then we're basically dead. We're basically shells of individuals, because we have a very large connection, a whole third of our lives on just a number scale, but a very large gap in our reality has been removed, just like the pineal gland connection has been removed, and we're okay with that. So we are, that's like the spiritual understanding of dreams, but also our waking dreams. Like the American dream is a commercial version of our true potential. So our waking dreams are stolen by the system being active in itself, and our spiritual dreams are subverted. And when we don't question things and don't go further than the basic understandings of why things are the way they are, like why we don't dream, why we stop dreaming at certain times, and why it's not promoted as a good thing or any kind of thing. It's basically non-existent in the mainstream reality. Success is an obvious one. It's just a word. It's a part of the. If you're successful within a program, then your today's success is based upon money, separation, just the artificial ego of our reality, and that's another separation, another filler of our understandings of ourselves and our expressions. Religion is a reverse control, a reverse order in the system, a reverse connection to spirit, when we have to have a middleman or a middle program between your understanding of the infinite space that is your spirit and your who you are, basically. So like when you have to have a middleman, when you are the mind, you are the body, you are the soul, and you are the spirit all in one, when you are all of that, and then you have to have a religion to tell you, what you should do and not do, then that's a separation, that's a gap that can be filled with all this stuff, and that's exactly what's happening right now. On top of that, when you have something like a religion, a gap like that, and you have a misunderstanding and a disunderstanding of life and death, then that program can be filled with fear. And that's what's happening right now. The fear program is inherent within all the systems. And if you're in a fearful state of mind, being told that everything is safe, provided security, when you're actually taking your freedoms away, then you're giving your power away, because you're so open and like closed off to your own power, but open to a codependent power because of the fear programming in there, not understanding life and time, spirit and soul, and not understanding what death is, and the beauty of these harmonics, these programs, these left brain and right brain, the life and death, the light and the dark, not understanding that, and just filling those empty gaps with misunderstanding and fear. Our imagination is completely shut down. We have a play school version of imagination. We're playing with toys because the collective understanding of who we are and what we are has been usurped into this basic understanding or misunderstanding of our reality, when we're constantly shown a globe. Like, for example, we have stuff like the flat earth out there, and then we have to go through and understand that the globe model is an institutionalization program. It's basically a religion that has been sold to us for so long, and we have to understand that so we can reconnect, reactivate our imagination, reactivate our creativity, because our creativity is being orchestrated. We don't have time to do anything because we're all sucked into work or some other prescription. We're either doing all this other stuff that we don't have any energy to be creative anymore. Our culture is totally stolen and flipped upside down with the mainstream and shut down in a lot of ways. Those connections are turned off. Television is a brain code. It's a frequency to turn these harmonics off and upside down, and also program you to think and act a certain way. Hate yourself. Self-hatred. That's what this is all about. With the white privilege and white supremacy being inherent with all your commercials, all your television shows. I was just watching a pawn shop television show where you can see the code, where it's just showing you like, oh, this is how black people are and this is how white people are. It's just an on and off, on and off, on and off, and before you know it, you end up hating yourself and loving your version of like blind Jesus. Like the whole, when it's black and white like that, then that gets linked into our own selves and our understandings of our reality. Our food is our power center. Our solar plexus is being pounded by genetically modified foods, and just shutting that whole chakra center down. That's an obvious one, but we use it as a coping mechanism. Food is being used as a coping mechanism because we're stuck within all this stuff, trying to get out of it. So it's a prescription drug. Health, when we do get sick because of this inherent program, we have insurance policies sold to us every moment of the day. Insurance in itself is a fear program. Instead of being healthy, living healthy, you have health insurance. There's a difference in that code, but that's the norm, and that's a prescription. Commercials are a subconscious drug and a subconscious program that's just a frequency on and off, on and off, on and off. In between the television code, you're being subconsciously programmed. You can see even how commercials get louder than whatever you're watching. That's a program. They didn't used to happen back in the day, but now you can see how this is controlling you, and before you know it, you end up in like a McDonald's drive-through buying something you don't need. Sports and everything that engages with sports, like Sports Center, is a trigger for your inner child. So this is basically like covering all the bases of your artificial version of yourself. And sports is like watching sports, and why it's so promoted and sold into the mainstream consciousness is because your inner child needs to be put out, or it needs to be living vicariously through the successful athletes that are out there. So you can just continue to go to work. It's kind of like throwing bread to the audience at the gladiator arena. You got to give the people something, otherwise they'll revolt and they won't want to be a part of the system anymore. So to shut the inner child up, Sports Center is out there and all the other stuff. The latest version of that are these apps and games that are there to control even the in between the television and commercial moments of our lives, and lock everything into a little box of control. It's just shrinking everything down and taking your time, taking your consciousness, and shrinking everything down so you can be controlled and be generic, basic. It's making basic people. So you're basically a gray version of your true divinity. In between all this, the trigger that's being spread is the love and reproduction program of your understandings of love and what love is, and not looking into this love, the love of this harmonics right here, all of this, and how that is just is reflected within this, and your connection and your reality in this earth plane, physical reality experience, and understanding the depths of that, going down to the atomic, the light body versions of our reality and the love that exists in that space, and understanding it to the depths. It gets physicalized and pumped out as this is your only version that you can express of this ultimately, is through this. Just reproduce, have sex, fall in your version of love, whatever that love feels like and looks like, and have babies, and you've done your job. It's just a fake, made up version to control and get more slaves in the system. The past, present, and future has to be sold like a doggy biscuit, and presented to you to be fully vested in the system. So your past has to be created, your present has to be manipulated, and your future has to be put out in front of you like a carrot. So your history is based upon shallow roots. They don't go, like I said earlier, they don't go past the Columbus or any time into like the golden ages of humanity. They want to go into that because that will take away the power of the illusory controllers, the illusory powers that be right now. It'll just remove that whole system once we understand that we are deeper than this version, this roots. The roots is not where the black race comes from. It's deeper than that. It's deeper than that. There's the medicine wheel understandings is a basic version of like the separation of races, like going through there and understanding the four corners and the red, the yellow, the black, and the white, and that basic understanding from the indigenous people. Starting there, on that simple version is way deeper than you can see how the roots program, the roots system is very shallow. Technology is our distraction. It's also a foundation for the transhumanism. It's been being sold in with NASA programs and VHS to CDs, CDs to DVDs, DVDs to hard drives and Netflix, and basically into your phone next to holograms and in your body, and that whole next step, and creating a dependency on this technology. Distraction and dependency. The university system is the glorified limitation system to keep you worshiping these individuals as your masters and the highest of the high, and then forget your true connections and your true capabilities, and just believe in this system that has been artificially created, that will back up this monkey evolution, and that will hide the mind, body, and soul chess games that are being played on every layer with a version of success. It's supposed to look and feel a certain way. And all of this stuff is free. This is your freedom. Your slavery is your freedom. When you give your soul away, it's a free delivery process, free delivery program. Make you think like having like like that new Domino's commercial out there that has a pizza oven inside of it. That's like what the future is all about. Like, no, that's what controlling your body and your mind and your soul is all about. Making you think that limitation, that ridiculous idea of something that is good for us is what we're all about. So your freedom is bought. Politics in itself is the program that keeps you thinking that you have a say in this. Like the democratic system is basically ordering your next slave owner, calling it progressive change with these micro versions of change individuals and their lackeys selling, oh yeah, feel the burn, or all about Hillary, and all this other. This is straight up slave master programming, and you vote for it. And when you cast your vote, just like you cast a spell, you cast a vote for your own enslavement. And those people who are out there selling you all these prescriptions, selling you all this stuff, and telling you, you know, this is about change, this is about, no, this is for deeper control. And you have to vote on it, because if you don't empower yourself to get out of this system itself, then you will be subject to whatever gets delivered to you for free on a regular basis. And those banker representatives and those people claiming to be not a part of that system is just a shallow version of it. And the Trump out there with the empowered illusion, he's out there to sell the overcompensation of empowerment and illusion, with talking about building a wall. First of all, talking about immigrants, when the immigrants themselves who are talking about building a wall, that's where the empowered illusion comes from. Like, you're the deepest, you're the most war-driven and confused immigrant in this entire system, thinking that you can tell people to build a wall. It's a double layer of overcompensation to create an illusion of power. And that double layer, and then it gets put in your face on the television. It creates that atmosphere to people to buy into, and then these people empower themselves. Like at these Trump rallies, they don't give a shit about like necessarily what he's saying as bad. They're pumped up by empowered illusion, so they don't want to go into the depths of the truth that exists before Christopher Columbus and right after Christopher Columbus, and the enslavement of the black and brown peoples all over this planet. That's why Trump is out there to filibuster this truth, and the media just puts him out there to make it look like he's at all relevant, like his words are at all relevant, when they're not at all relevant at all. They're out there to create a facade, an illusion, to make the truth not at all part of the discussion, because you got to talk about the ridiculousness of this immigrant himself, a racist individual, talking about building a wall as if he could. It's ridiculous. And then this whole thing is about building trust. You have to build trust. This is what Bernie Sanders is out there for, to be the balance beam of a Donald Trump. So you still trust this system because some people are talking about feeling the burn. It's a very deep algorithm, and it's all about trust building and being distracted. As long as you're distracted and you keep subconsciously building trust, because these people keep selling this belief and this not going into a knowingness, still going into a believing in this system, then it's a cycle. It's a chess game. The dependency program is sold within this whole thing. Like I said earlier, they constantly sell dependency. This is what Bernie Sanders is talking about. Socialism programs, and you just buy into it. Keep buying into the globe model and not looking into the depths of the lies, not looking into all this other stuff, because we can't let go of our codependency that goes from our culture and our family and even our own psychology. The fear is inherent within the entire patriarchal system, the prison industrial complex, the military industrial complex. It's within this system of separation of your left and right brain hemisphere. Any dissension that's out there is squashed. Occupy movement, Black Lives Matter, they make sure it's televised and put in your face that, you know, if you stand up, this is what's going to happen to you. We have the true power. This is that whole thing. It's all based on fear and coercion. The chattel, these demigods, these fake, these artificial individuals who are out there talking about, this is what we got to do change, and they're talking about more progressive slavery. They're glorified as, the people we should follow, the voters and all this so-called democratic system promoters are really glorified chattel, and they are meant to be televised with all this alternative news and setting the foundation for cloning and being completely powerless, which is ultimately what the spiritual warfare part of this is. You become so powerless that you downgrade yourself into a state of no soul connections at all, and then you'll be able to rationalize believing in transhumanism and the artificial version of this monkey evolution, this next step, whatever is after this, when this was a lie to begin with. You'll buy into the next layer of control, which deals with transhumanism and welcoming programs like the human cloning program and the desensitization. This is all about desensitization. So this desensitizes you from connecting to yourself, your mind, your body, your soul, your spirit, each other, your culture, your family, your psyche. So you're completely numb to your existence, to where your next step of control, which is your soul, your spirit understandings, can be locked into a technological version of yourself or a artificial version of your reality. And that's what's happening right now. So distracted, so sold that we're buying right into it. And once we start to go into our true power, our true connections, we'll be able to undo what has been done within this entire system. But we have to empower ourselves, look into stuff like Martin Luther King's last speech. I've been to the mountaintop, and see what he was talking about. Basically, I was going to do a whole video on that. Basically, he was talking about like not being involved in this system at all, like not buying Coca-Cola, not buying certain bread companies, and they're obvious now because it's just garbage, just being genetically modified garbage. But he was basically saying, like, I mean, if we don't do what he was talking about right before and the stuff that led up to him being taken out of this system, then what was we really talking about? People talking about feeling the burn, which is a deeper layer of enslavement. How could you talk about that if at first you're not talking about ultimately what Malcolm X was talking about, what Martin Luther King was talking about at the heart right before they were taken out, and everybody else, and the true empowerment, not the codependent slavery program. So once we start amplifying ourselves and our connection to ourselves, realizing what things are at the depth, then we'll be able to break this code and get out of this spiritual warfare. And stuff as simple as realizing the connections to our earth plane, our heart plane, realizing our connections to ourself, our spirit, and getting out of our limitation versions of our reality, our fake monkey evolution, we'll be able to break this stuff. So I'll leave it there. The longest video I ever done. So thank you for joining me. If you stayed to listen to the whole thing, I appreciate that. And till next time, peace, love, and harmony.